Namaste and hi friends, it's Parvati here with Visionary Veda, bringing you your Vedic astrology report for this full moon happening in the sidereal sign of Taurus. This is a full moon eclipse in the nakshatra of Rohini. So how does this affect us, and what kind of energies can we expect to see from this potent and powerful full moon eclipse? So let's get started, okay? Um, so this eclipse, like I mentioned, is happening in the sidereal sign of Taurus in the nakshatra of Rohini. Now, Rohini Nakshatra is considered to be the favorite nakshatra of the moon itself. The moon travels through all 27 nakshatras, sometimes 28, but all 27 nakshatras in its 1 month revolution, right? Until it gets back to where it started in the new moon and we start the cycle again. We start the lunar cycle again. The full moons are usually the culmination of the energies, right? The new moons are the beginnings of the energies. So usually when the new moon starts is when the energy resets for the entire month, okay? And then at the top of that, the apex or the pinnacle of that lunar cycle is the full moon, when the moon or the mind is illuminated. So everything in the dark can be seen, okay, for what it is. Now, usually if this was a normal full moon in Rohini, it would indicate abundance, right? Because Taurus is also the sign of abundance, of comforts, of money, of speech, of value, of security. So it would show us, it would illuminate for us those places in our lives that help us to feel secure and at ease and comfortable and relaxed, right? Rohini is also very beautiful. So we're surrounded by our creature comforts. We feel relaxed, we feel secure, we're eating good food, we're having beautiful conversation, we have abundance, we have all the material things that we need to feel good. Venus is the ruling planet of Taurus, and so we all know that Venus is the planet of good feelings and pleasure. So Taurus, right, and Rohini. Now, if this was a normal full moon, we would be talking about all of these things. But because it's an eclipse, we have Rahu sitting there, right? And Rahu is going to be sitting in Taurus, in the sidereal sign of Taurus, for the next year and a half, okay, until next year when it switches signs. So all of the implications of Taurus are going to be affected, including on this powerful full moon eclipse. So where we normally would be feeling secure, we might be feeling insecure. We might be feeling confused as to what makes us feel secure, or why we don't feel comfortable, or why we're not feeling pleasure, right? And also because Rahu indicates many things, right? So on one hand, we can desire to more comfort, and we can just start looking for things that will give us a short lasting effect of feeling good while the energies are being turned up, right? So we can turn to things like emotional eating. We can turn to things like intoxicants, right? Because intoxicants is ruled by Rahu. And these are short-term fixes during this moon, during this full moon, that we might tend to want to go to feel better, to feel more comfortable, to feel pleasure, to feel secure. If we're lacking in any of these elements. Usually when Rahu is with the moon, Rahu indicates it's a shadow graha, right? Rahu and Ketu are the grahas or the energies that actually cause the eclipses. This is why we're having eclipse for this full moon, because Rahu is sitting with the moon. Okay, so when those luminaries, the sun and the moon, when the light is obscured by these planets, it makes us uncomfortable on an internal level. Now, those of us that do spiritual practice or are in tune to these natural impulses and the natural ebbs and flows of the cosmic energies are already feeling it. And if we can stay centered and we can realize that this is the play of Rahu, that we can actually use this as an opportunity to change those habits, those unconscious habits, those habits of wanting to grasp and go to things that make us feel better when we're in a place of discomfort. Okay, so the best things to do for the eclipse is to really go inward and observe. Observe how the mind, when it feels confused, when it feels irritated, when it's seeking something or needing something or grasping for something, just observe how it is that we behave and not act upon it. If we can observe from a place of neutrality, then what these eclipse energies do is helps us to see ourselves and see the places in ourselves that are more unconscious that we act out from. Okay, so I'm really sorry that this computer keeps glitching. I guess this is like my signature. I actually recorded another video before this and it didn't glitch, but I had to redo it. So anyway, moving on. I should be used to this by now. So now let's talk a little bit about this planet Venus. Now, Venus is the lord of Taurus. And Venus is, during this eclipse, going to be in the sidereal sign of Libra, which it also lords, right? So Venus is in a good position, but Libra and Taurus are in a 6-8 relationship, which means it's a difficult energy. Even though the Lord is in his own house, the Lord is in a comfortable position in the Multrikona sign, it is still aspecting the house of Taurus in a difficult way. So it's the 8th house aspect, okay? And the 8th house is the house of hidden things, hidden feelings, hidden knowledge, secrets, taboo subjects, sexuality, as well as money, but not the money that we get directly from our work, not that kind of value, but the value that we get indirectly through inheritances, through partnerships with others. So it indicates other people's money. So this eclipse can trigger what I feel is some sort of change in how we approach or how we value money, liquid money, because Venus is the karaka or the indicator of liquid money as well. Wealth, luxury, pleasure, comforts, and money. So there can be some sort of a shift in one's values of what we feel is or how we use our resources, whether it's through our speech, whether it's through our food, whether it's through our nourishment, whether it's through our relationships, especially with our families and our family members. There can be confusion around that and a restructuring or a reorganization, or at least a deeper look into what is really true, what is really real with our relationships. So are we holding on to relationships that maybe have outserved their purpose? Are we holding on to actual things that we need to let go of? Are we holding on to habits that are causing us, that are not good for us? All of these things can be brought to light and be illuminated during this full moon. So thank you guys very much. I do want to add that with every lunar eclipse comes a solar eclipse and vice versa, right? Because we have Rahu and Ketu 180 degrees apart from each other. So in 2 weeks' time, on December 14th, we are going to be experiencing a tremendous, incredibly powerful total solar eclipse of the sun, because the sun is going to be sitting in Scorpio with Rahu. And then on December 21st, we have an incredibly powerful conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn. Now this is going to be amazing, and I'm going to do 2 separate reports on this. I might combine them, but I think I'm going to do 2 separate reports. One for the eclipse and one for the great Jupiter and Saturn conjunction. Now I am very excited about this conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn, because in the sign of Scorpio, it is going to, oh sorry, that's the eclipse. The Jupiter and Saturn conjunction in the sign of Capricorn has not happened until this, since the 60s. And we all know what an amazing cultural and spiritual renaissance we went through in the 60s. Okay, so that's just half of it. You can't forget all the other stuff, all the really difficult stuff that we were experiencing in the 60s as well, as you know, including what's really shameful for our country in the Vietnam War. Okay, so there was a lot of polarity and upheaval, but through that came a beautiful renaissance of awareness, right? So we are going to be experiencing something similar to that, coming up, starting in a few weeks on the winter solstice and moving into 2021. So I'm really excited about that report. And then, of course, the eclipse, which is happening on the 14th, the solar eclipse. And this is happening in the sidereal sign of Scorpio. Ketu is going to be there for the next year and a half, right? So it's going to have to do with the shifting of our consciousness, of our deep subconscious beliefs, things that have been running us blindly that we haven't been aware of. Okay, so this is going to be a really intense one, but hopefully it will illuminate these places where we have yet to look at in ourselves and also in our society. So stay tuned for those reports. Before I end, I do want to also address some of my viewers, my audience have been asking to do sign-wise sort of predictions. I've been staying away from doing that because there's so many other channels that do that. And me, I just like to bring you the general sort of collective energy that's going on, just for a short little tutorial for those of you who have stuck in there with me for this long. I can do a whole nother video on it, but just for a short one, if you want to find out where your moon sign is, your Vedic moon sign and your Vedic rising, and you know your Western chart, simply subtract 24 degrees from it. Or you could go on some of these websites that will calculate your Vedic birth chart for you, and then you'll know where all of your planets are in the Vedic system. But depending on what house the eclipse falls in is the flavor that is going to show up in your life. So, for example, my nakshatra, my moon nakshatra. Also, for the eclipses, I really take the moon into consideration. Usually, for all the other events, I look at the rising as well as primary. But for the eclipses, I look at the moon. Why? Because the eclipse is happening to the moon. And the moon is the emotional, mental reality that we're all experiencing. So, for example, my moon nakshatra is Chitra, right? So this eclipse is happening in my ninth house. Okay, so um, Taurus is 9 houses away from Virgo. So, for example, and this is just as an illustration, the ninth house, what does that indicate? It indicates your gurus, your teachers, your teachings, your higher knowledge, right? Your long-term traveling. So, on a emotional level, my mind, my emotions being in Chitra and having this ninth house eclipse happening, I could be doubting my ability to travel this year. Actually, my passport was just expired. I could be doubting or confused about what next segment of knowledge that I need to undertake to learn to be able to complement my knowledge, my services. I could be doubting or confused or somewhat in doubt about my ability to teach this knowledge or to convey this knowledge, right? Even though like my friends might be saying no, we get a lot of great information from your videos, mentally and emotionally, there could be that doubt, that confusion, or that sort of, that sort of heaviness on my mind around the area of the ninth house. So I'm glitching again. I'm going to take that as a sign to stop the video, but I do appreciate all of you and all of your feedback. If you would like to schedule a reading with me, a consultation with me, a session with me, please feel free to get in touch at the email below. Email is very simple. It's visionaryveda@gmail.com. Also, please like my Facebook page, Visionary Veda. I post a lot of interesting articles and posts there on Facebook. I also have an Instagram, but that's one of the things I need to learn. So hopefully this eclipse will give me the push to learn more technology and learn how to utilize all of this social media better. Okay, so I'm going to cut it at that. Sorry, I feel like I'm rambling now. But thank you guys so much. I wish you a very powerful and potent and illuminating full moon eclipse in Taurus in Rohini Nakshatra. And please feel free to make any comments and send any queries my way. All right, that's going to do it for me until next time. Enjoy the life. Take care and stay tuned for more reports to come. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.